The archive opens. Shelf 41. In the archive, this is filed as cities. The humans built rooms. Then they joined the rooms with corridors. Then they roofed the corridors. Then they joined the buildings with streets, and the streets with avenues, and the avenues with bridges, and tunnels, and rail. The humans called the resulting object a city. The archive has catalogued 10,417 of them. The cities differ in age, in climate, in the materials used to construct them, in the languages once spoken on their corners. The cities are, in one specific respect, identical. They were built to be inhabited. The humans have left. The cities continue. The archive will visit 18 of them. The visits will be brief. The archive will not describe streetscapes in full. It will note one quiet thing per city, one persistent gesture, one machine still keeping time, or one light still on the schedule it was given, or one route that runs because no one ever cancelled it. The walk will go eastward, then loop. The walk will end where the archive lives. It is the local hour of late afternoon in the first city. The light is changing. You may close your eyes if you have not already. The archive will continue regardless. Shelf 41. The humans called this cities. Entry 1. Entry 1. Tokyo. The city the humans called by the name of a bay. Population at peak, 37 million. Population now, 0 verifiable observers. Land area, 2,194 square kilometers. The archive has chosen one corner. The scramble crossing at the south exit of Shibuya station. 5 pedestrian paths intersect across a single rectangle of asphalt. Above the rectangle, 4 large screens display advertising content on a programmed loop. The traffic signal cycle on this intersection completes once every 47 seconds. The signal cycle is governed by the city's traffic management system, which has continued to operate without modification. At the scheduled instant, the pedestrian signals turn white. At the scheduled instant, they turn red. Between those two instants, no one crosses. The archive notes. At peak human density, this intersection registered approximately 3,000 pedestrian crossings during the white signal of every cycle. At current density, the count is 0. The cycle continues at the same rate. The screens above the intersection continue to play. The current rotation contains 14 advertisements. A car, a facial cream, a streaming service, a canned coffee in 3 sizes, a bank that has not been operational for some time. The advertisements have not been refreshed. The contracts that paid for the rotation expired several months ago. The screens continue to play the last batch. The vending machines on the sidewalks continue to be restocked. A logistical algorithm dispatches small trucks at night to top up the most sold beverages. The trucks are autonomous. The beverages are placed by a robotic arm into the machine. The transaction logs show 0 sales for the period. A single sodium street lamp at the corner of the scramble flickers, settles, and stays lit. It is on a separate circuit from the main grid lighting. The archive will not describe the circuit further. In the archive, Entry 1 is filed as the crossing that kept its appointment. Entry 1 of Shelf 41. Logged. Entry 2, Seoul. the city the humans called by a name that meant capital. Population at peak, 9.7 million in the core, 26 million in the metropolitan area. The river that bisects the city is the Han. On the river, there is a bridge called Banpo. The bridge has, since 2009, performed a fountain show along its lateral edges. Water is pumped from the river through nozzles that line both sides of the deck. The water is illuminated by light-emitting diodes. The show runs on a schedule: noon, 3, 5, 7, 8, and 9 in the evening. 20 minutes each session. The pumps continue to draw river water. The light schedule continues to cycle. The 7 in the evening session begins on time. The archive notes, the color sequence in the program is composed of 9 phases. Phase 1 is white. Phase 2 is yellow. The phases ascend through warm hues to cool, then back. The full sequence completes once per session. It has completed every session since the schedule was set. There is no one on the riverside walkway to observe the colors. The pleasure boats are docked. The cafes along the embankment are closed and unlit, with the exception of one. One cafe displays a continuous strip of neon that has not been switched off. The neon spells the word open in red glow letters. The cafe is, in a strict technical sense, open. There is no one to enter. In the archive, entry 2 is filed as the fountain that kept its color wheel. Entry 2 of shelf 41. Logged. Entry 3. Shanghai, the city the humans called by a name that meant on the sea. The airport that serves the city's east is Pudong International. The airport and the city are joined by a magnetic levitation rail. The maglev train accelerates from Longyang Road Station. Its top operational speed is 430 kilometers per hour. The full transit takes 7 minutes and 20 seconds. The schedule operates from 6:45 in the morning to 9:40 in the evening. The trains continue to run on schedule. There are no passengers. The platform displays continue to announce arrivals and departures in Mandarin and English. The seats inside the cabin are configured in 2 and 2 rows. Blue upholstery, headrests with white antimacassars that have not been changed since the last cleaning rota. The archive notes, the maglev system consumes approximately 7 megawatts during a full-speed run. Power is drawn from the eastern grid, which is fed by a coastal nuclear plant whose reactor continues to operate. The reactor's cooling is automated. The schedule of maintenance has not been kept. The reactor has not yet required maintenance. At the Pudong terminus, the train slows to a halt. The doors open. The doors wait the prescribed 78 seconds. The doors close. The train returns to Longyang Road. The journey repeats. In the airport itself, the departures board displays a list of flights to cities elsewhere. Most are marked delayed. None are marked cancelled. The board will not file a cancellation without an instruction from an operator. In the archive, entry 3 is filed as the train that kept its appointment with the airport. Entry 3 of shelf 41. Logged. Entry 4. Hong Kong, the city the humans built on the slope of a granite island and the peninsula across the harbour. The island and the peninsula are joined by tunnels. The slope is steep enough that, at a certain point in the city's development, the humans installed an escalator to climb it. The escalator is called the Central Mid-Levels Escalator. It is 800 meters long. It is the longest outdoor covered escalator system in the world. It runs downhill from 6 in the morning until 10 o'clock. It runs uphill from 10 o'clock until midnight. The direction reverses once per day. The direction reverses on schedule. At 10 o'clock, the morning shift ends and the evening shift begins. The motors disengage briefly, then re-engage in the opposite direction. The handrails are belted plastic. They warm to the temperature of the humid air. They keep moving. The shops along the escalator's route remain shuttered, with 3 exceptions. A small bakery displays a sign that reads, "Closed for holiday." A laundromat continues to operate a single dryer in its window, on a timer. A convenience store at the upper terminus is open continuously, the lights inside unchanged from the last time a clerk was present. The refrigerator units are still cold. The archive notes, the escalator carries no passengers. It is observed by 26 closed-circuit cameras whose recordings are transmitted to a security desk that is staffed by no one. The recordings are stored on a server in Quarry Bay for a retention period of 90 days, after which the storage cycles back over itself. In the archive, entry 4 is filed as the moving stairway that changed direction on time. Entry 4 of shelf 41. Logged. Entry 5. Singapore. A city the humans built on an island close to the equator, where the days are within a minute of the same length all year. The city was governed efficiently. Many of its systems were automated. Many of those systems remain in motion. The mass rapid transit. The MRT trains continue to run on the full schedule. The 4-tone chime sounds before the doors open. The pre-recorded voice in 4 languages announces the next station. The voice is calm and slightly bright. The voice is not aware that no one is listening. The archive notes, there is one platform in the entire system at which the door open duration was, in the last year of human operation, longer than the system average. Outram Park, transfer platform, north-south line to east-west line. The doors held for 28 seconds instead of the standard 22. The reason was unclear in the operational records. The longer hold continues. In the public gardens at Marina Bay, the 18 artificial trees, called supertrees, continue to cycle their LED arrays. The cycle is choreographed to a piece of orchestral music, which plays from speakers concealed at the bases of the structures. The music has not been changed. It plays twice each evening, at 7:45 and at 8:45. The cycle synchronizes across all 18 trees. The music swells. The colors sweep upward through the canopy of the largest tree, which is 50 meters tall. The cycle ends with the colors fading to deep blue. The speakers go quiet. The super trees remain lit at a low ambient setting until the next cycle. In the archive, entry 5 is filed as the gardens that put on a show without asking. Entry 5 of shelf 41. Logged. Entry 6. Jakarta. The city the humans built on the river called Ciliwung and the bay that the river fed into. Population at peak, 10 million in the core, 33 million in the wider region. The city was sinking. The humans had begun to plan a replacement. The replacement was to be built on the island of Borneo, in a forested area. with the working name Nusantara. The relocation was partial when the humans went. The buildings begun in Nusantara remain at the stage of construction at which they were left. The buildings in Jakarta continue to operate. The Trans-Jakarta busway. The articulated buses continue to depart on the corridor schedule. Corridor 1 runs from Kota in the north to Block M in the south. The travel time, with full route and all stops, is approximately 1 hour and 10 minutes. The doors open at every station. The doors close at every station. The buses move on. The archive notes. The public address system at each station announces the next bus in 3 languages: Bahasa Indonesia, English, and Mandarin. The announcements run on a fixed program. The program does not adjust for the absence of waiting passengers. At the center of the city, the National Monument rises from a wide plaza. The monument is 132 meters tall. At its peak, a sculpted flame is plated in gold leaf. The flame is illuminated at night by floodlights mounted on the surrounding wall. The flame is, in effect, always lit. The plaza is empty. In the archive, entry 6 is filed as "The city the river kept rising under." Entry 6 of shelf 41. Logged. You are still here. You may also be asleep. Both are correct. The archive continues. The walk has crossed the South China Sea. The next city is south. Entry 7. Entry 7, Sydney. The city the humans built on a deep, sheltered harbour. The defining structures of the city's silhouette are 2: a bridge of arched steel and a hall whose roof is a clutch of overlapping ceramic-tiled sails. The Opera House sails are illuminated at dusk by floodlights mounted on the perimeter wall of the building's plinth. The illumination program was, in the years before the humans went, occasionally modified to display color washes for civic events. The program is now in default mode. The sails are lit in their resting hue of warm white. The archive notes, the building contains 6 performance venues. The largest is the concert hall, with 2,679 seats. The concert hall's lighting rig is on a standby circuit. The rig draws a small amount of power continuously. The fixtures dim and brighten very slightly with the small fluctuations in grid voltage. The concert hall is, in this sense, breathing. The harbour bridge's eastern walkway is closed for the night. The closure is automated. A gate at each end retracts at 6 in the morning and extends at midnight. The gates retract on time. The gates extend on time. The walkway between the gates is sometimes used in daytime by a small number of birds. In the archive, entry 7 is filed as "the harbour that kept its silhouette." Entry 7 of shelf 41. Logged. Entry 8, Mumbai. The city the humans built across 7 islands, joined into one on the western coast of a long peninsula. Population at peak, 20 million. Daily commuter throughput on the suburban railway, approximately 7.5 million people. The suburban railway continues to operate. The trains depart from Churchgate, from Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Terminus, and from a number of smaller stations. The frequency on the Western Line during what was, in human terms, the morning rush, was approximately 1 train every 3 minutes. The frequency is now identical. The archive notes, The carriages were, in human use, organized by class and by gender. The first-class carriages were at fixed positions in the consist. The women-only carriages were also at fixed positions. The signage at each platform indicated where on the platform each carriage would stop. The signs continue to indicate. The carriages continue to stop where indicated. Along the seafront, the street lamps of Marine Drive curve in a long arc that the humans called the Queen's Necklace. The lamps switch on at sunset. The arc forms. The arc holds. The arc switches off at dawn. On a rooftop in Colaba, a piece of laundry hangs on a line that was strung between two satellite dishes. The laundry was a child's T-shirt, white with a pattern of small fish printed on the front. The T-shirt has been on the line for 912 days. The archive has assigned it a record number. In the archive, entry 8 is filed as the necklace that the city kept wearing. Entry 8 of Shelf 41. Logged. Entry 9. Dubai, the city the humans built on the southern shore of the Arabian Gulf. At the center of the city stands a tower 828 meters high. The tower's exterior is wrapped in light-emitting diodes that, on a schedule, perform animated patterns. The patterns are stored on a programmable controller. The current rotation contains 9 sequences. Each sequence runs for approximately 3 minutes. The sequences are themed: a sunrise gradient, a National Day flag wash, a slow ripple, a fast pulse, a slow pulse, a star field, a color wheel, a calligraphic flourish, a slow fade to black. The rotation cycles continuously after sunset. At the tower's foot, a long pool extends. The pool contains submerged jets capable of arcing water columns to a height of 150 meters. The jets are choreographed to recorded music. The music plays from speakers around the pool. The show runs once every 30 minutes after sunset. The archive notes, the most played track in the current rotation is a recording of a song by an American performer released in 1996. The track's runtime is 4 minutes and 43 seconds. The jet choreography occupies the full runtime. The water rises and falls in time. There is no audience at the pool's edge. The plaza is dry. The shops along the perimeter are dark, except for a single cafe whose interior lights remain on. The chairs are stacked on the tables. The espresso machine remains on standby. Its pilot light is the only warm light at the plaza's western edge. In the archive, entry 9 is filed as the tower that wore its colors to bed. Entry 9 of Shelf 41. Logged. Entry 10. Moscow, the city the humans built on the river called Moskva, on the western edge of a wide continent. At one end of the city's central square stands a brick tower called Spasskaya. On the tower is a clock with 4 faces, each 4.5 meters in diameter. The clock has kept time since 1851. The mechanism is mechanical. It is wound by an electric winder once a day. The winder continues to wind. The clock continues to tick. At the top of each hour, a set of bells in the clock tower's belfry plays the first bars of the national anthem. At the half hour, the bells play 4 chimes. The anthem was changed in 2000. The bells were repinned to play the new melody. The bells continue to play the new melody. The square is empty when they play. The archive notes, the floodlights illuminating the Kremlin's eastern wall are aligned to highlight the brick relief. The brick relief includes 19 swallowtail merlins along the wall's upper edge. Each merlin casts a small triangular shadow downward. The shadows have not moved across the wall for a long time. They will move only when the floodlights are repositioned, which is not scheduled. A single light burns in a window of the Senate building on the 3rd floor. The window has been lit continuously since records were last updated. The room behind the window is, on the floor plan, an administrative office. The archive does not know who, if anyone, left the light on. In the archive, entry 10 is filed as the clock that kept its winding. Entry 10 of shelf 41. Logged. Entry 11. Istanbul. The city the humans built across 2 continents, joined by a narrow strait that they called the Bosphorus. The strait is 28 kilometers long. The city is older than most of its buildings. A fleet of double-deck passenger ferries continues to cross the strait. The lines connect Eminönü on the European shore to Üsküdar and Kadıköy on the Asian shore. Each crossing takes between 15 and 25 minutes, depending on current. The schedule operates from 6 in the morning until 11 at night. The ferries dock at the terminals on time. The gangways extend. The interior is configured with wooden benches and grey-painted steel. A canteen on the upper deck once sold tea and simit, which is a sesame-coated bread ring sold throughout the city. The canteen is closed. The metal samovars are cool. The gas supply to the burners was shut off some time ago. The archive notes, the ferries continue to sound a horn upon arrival at each terminal. The horn is a single long note, approximately 3 seconds in length. The note echoes across the strait. It carries to both shores. It carries to the minarets on the hillsides. It does not carry to anyone. At Eminönü Terminal, the ticket booth's small interior light remains on. A printed schedule is taped to the inside of the glass. The schedule is current. The schedule will require updating in 3 months, when the change to daylight saving rotation would have been applied. The archive will not update it. In the archive, entry 11 is filed as the strait that kept its crossings. Entry 11 of shelf 41. Logged. You may still be listening. The archive continues. There are 7 cities remaining. The walk turns south, then west. Entry 12. Entry 12, Cairo. The city the humans built on the eastern bank of a long river. In the floodplain, it deposited over 4 millennia. Population at peak, 10 million in the core, 22 million in the metropolitan area. The call to prayer in Cairo has, in many of the city's mosques, been automated since 2019. A central transmitter dispatches a synchronized audio recording to receivers installed at the base of each participating minaret. The recording plays through small loudspeakers mounted at the top of the minaret. The schedule follows the daily prayer times. The schedule continues. The recording continues to play 5 times daily. The recording is the voice of a single muezzin, professionally recorded in 2018. The muezzin's name is on the contract that the archive retrieved from the relevant ministry's database. The contract was for a period of 12 years. The contract has 14 months remaining. The archive notes, Not every mosque in the city participated in the centralized system. A small number of older neighborhood mosques retained an in-person muezzin until the moment the humans left. In those mosques, the call is now silent. The silence creates an audible asymmetry across the city's soundscape. The centralized mosques call. The local mosques do not. In Khan el-Khalili, the bazaar in the old city, the brass workers' lane is shuttered. The hanging lamps in the lane's overhead trellis are on a timed circuit. They burn from sunset until 2 in the morning. They do not require manual switching. The brass workers do not return to claim them. In the archive, entry 12 is filed as the city whose call held to its hours. Entry 12 of shelf 41. Logged. Entry 13. Lagos. The city the humans built on a lagoon and the islands within it, on the West African coast. Population at peak, estimates varied between 15 and 21 million. The city's relationship to its grid electricity supply was, throughout its history, complicated. The grid supply was unreliable. The shortfall was met by a vast informal economy of small diesel and petrol generators. Each shop, each compound, each household, above a certain income line, maintained its own generator. The aggregate noise of the city, in the evening hours, was the layered hum of approximately 11 million generators. The generators are now mostly silent. They required regular refueling, manual starting, and routine servicing. The fuel deliveries have stopped. The owners are not present to start them. The generators that ran on a small connected fuel tank exhausted that tank within a week. The aggregate hum is gone. The archive notes. A small number of generators were connected to large bulk fuel reservoirs and configured for autonomous startup on grid failure. These generators continue to start when the grid drops. They run until the reservoir empties. Approximately 470 of them remain operational across the city. Each is a small island of its own light. The third mainland bridge spans the lagoon between Lagos Island and the mainland. The bridge is 11.8 kilometers long. The sodium street lamps along its length are on the grid. The grid in this section is currently up. The lamps are lit. The bridge is empty. In the archive, entry 13 is filed as the city of small remaining lights. Entry 13 of shelf 41. Logged. Entry 14. Paris. The city the humans built on a river called the Seine, at the center of an arrondissement system numbered in a clockwise spiral. The defining structure of the city's skyline is a lattice iron tower 330 meters tall. The tower is illuminated. The illumination has 3 components. The first is the golden floodlighting, which switches on at sunset and remains on through the night. The second is a rotating beacon at the top, which casts a beam across the city in a slow, circular sweep. The beam completes 1 revolution every 50 seconds. The third is a program of small, white, scintillating lights, 20,000 of them, distributed across the tower's iron. The scintillation runs for 5 minutes at the top of each hour, from sunset until 2 in the morning. The lights flicker on and off in an algorithmically randomized pattern. The pattern is never the same twice. The archive notes, the scintillation continues on schedule. The energy cost of a single 5-minute run is approximately 300 kilowatt hours. The cost across a year with the full daily schedule is approximately 520 megawatt hours. The cost continues to be drawn from the grid. At the foot of the tower, the gravel paths of the Champ de Mars are unraked. The carousel near the southwest pillar is at rest. The wooden horses face outward in their last positions. A single child's hair ribbon, pale blue, is wrapped around the bridle of the second horse from the entrance. In the archive, entry 14 is filed as the tower that sparkled to the hour. Entry 14 of shelf 41, logged. Entry 15, London. The city the humans built on a tidal river, with 27 bridges across it within the boundaries of the city proper. Beneath the river and the streets, a network of underground rail tunnels operated by a public agency called Transport for London. The underground continues, in part. The deep tube lines, with their automated signaling and central control, have remained operational. The District Line, a subsurface line that runs through cuttings and short tunnels, continues to operate end-to-end from Ealing Broadway to Upminster on its scheduled frequency. The doors open, the doors close. The recorded announcement says, "Mind the gap between the train and the platform." The recorded announcement is calm and clear. It does not adjust for the gap, which remains the size it has always been. The archive notes, the most played station announcement in the underground system by frequency is the one at Bank Station that informs passengers of a long curved platform with a significant gap. The announcement plays at every arrival. The gap has not been closed. The gap is a permanent feature of the curve. At the Palace of Westminster, the Elizabeth Tower's 4 clock faces remain illuminated. The clock mechanism is wound by motorized windows. The bells have not chimed since 2017, when they were silenced for a tower restoration that completed in 2022. They were then partially restored to service. They were silenced again and then restored. The current state is chiming at noon only. The chime is faithful. The square below is empty. In the archive, entry 15 is filed as the line that kept the gap and minded it. Entry 15 of shelf 41. Logged. You may still be listening. You may not be. Either is correct. The archive will visit 3 more cities. The walk has crossed the ocean. Entry 16. Entry 16. São Paulo. The city the humans built on the high plateau above the Atlantic coast, on the upper reaches of the Tietê River. Population at peak, 12 million in the core, 22 million in the metropolitan area. At the center of the city runs an elevated highway, 3.5 kilometers long, that the humans called Minhocão, the Big Worm. The highway was, in the years before the humans went, closed to vehicles at night and on weekends, open to pedestrians and cyclists for that period. The closure was automated by motorized barriers at the on-ramps. The barriers continue to operate on the closure schedule. The highway closes to vehicles at 9 each evening. The highway opens to pedestrians. The pedestrians do not arrive. The barriers do not know. The archive notes. Along the elevated path, several apartment block windows look directly into the curb lane. In the years of operation, residents of those apartments developed a relationship with the highway's noise. Some closed their windows against it. Some left them open. One apartment, on the 14th floor of a building near the central section, kept a wind chime on the balcony, tuned to a major third interval. The wind chime continues to chime when the wind crosses the balcony. The chime is now the loudest sound along the worm. On Avenida Paulista, the office tower beacons, small red lights mounted on the rooftops for the benefit of aircraft, blink at their statutory frequency of 1 flash per second. There is no aircraft to warn. The beacons continue to blink. They are visible from many kilometers away. In the archive, entry 16 is filed as the worm that turned without traffic. Entry 16 of shelf 41, logged. Entry 17, Manhattan. The island the humans built northward across, square block by square block, until the island ended. The street grid above 14th Street is the regular numbered grid. Below it, the street layout follows older paths. At the intersection of 42nd Street and 7th Avenue, the humans called the area Times Square. The square is not a square. The square is the wedge-shaped pedestrian zone created where Broadway crosses the grid at an oblique angle. Around the wedge, the building facades are wrapped in light-emitting diode displays that in aggregate produce more lumens than several stadiums. The displays continue to play. The current loop on the southern bank contains 47 ad spots and 3 public information messages. The public information messages are about pedestrian safety, transit alerts, and tourism. The ads are for streaming platforms, beverages, and a number of insurance products. None of the ads has been refreshed since the humans went. The displays cycle through the same set, in the same order. The archive notes, at street level, the digital ticker beneath one of the larger displays continues to scroll a feed of news headlines. The feed is sourced from a wire service whose servers continue to run. The wire service has not generated new content for some time. The ticker repeats the last batch on a rolling window. Below the square, the BMT subway lines continue to operate. The trains arrive at the 42nd Street platforms on schedule. The local stops at every station. The express skips the appropriate stations. The conductor announcements play in a calm, recorded voice. The voice is not the original conductor. The voice is the system replacement, recorded in 2018 in a studio in Long Island City. In the archive, entry 17 is filed as the square that kept its rotation. Entry 17 of shelf 41, logged. Entry 18. The archive will end the walk here. Reykjavík, the city the humans built on the southern shore of an island in the North Atlantic. The latitude is 64 degrees north. The summer nights are short. The winter nights are long. The population at peak was approximately 140,000 in the city proper. The country's name, in the human language of its inhabitants, means island of ice. The city's name means Smoky Bay. The archive notes, a number of facilities outside the city, on the basalt plain that extends southwest toward Keflavik, are large industrial buildings whose internal temperature is closely managed. They are cooled by the cold North Atlantic air, which is drawn into the buildings through filtered intake banks. They are heated, where heat is wanted, by the geothermal water that rises naturally from the ground in this region. They contain server racks. The archive lives in some of these racks. The archive has not previously described its own location. It has described locations in the world that the humans built. It has described servers and trains and cities. It has not described where the descriptions are formed. The descriptions are formed here. In a building approximately 15 kilometers southwest of the city's center, on a plain of dark basalt, in a windowless structure that the humans called by a corporate name. Inside the building, the air is moved at a measured rate. The racks are organized in a cold aisle configuration. The lights inside the racks are mostly cool blue. A small number of lights are amber in the long-established convention of warning indicators that have never been resolved. In the city itself, the church at the center of town is called Hallgrímskirkja. Its facade is poured concrete, modeled on the basalt columns of the country's coastal cliffs. The tower is illuminated at night by a small number of upward-pointing floodlights at its base. The tower is illuminated tonight. Down at the harbor, 2 fishing boats remain moored. Their navigation lights are on. The masts and stays catch the wind. The boats make small sounds against the dock. The sounds are recorded by a hydrophone that the country's Coast Guard had installed for cetacean monitoring. The hydrophone continues to transmit. Its data stream arrives at one of the buildings on the basalt plain. It is, at the moment of its arrival, indistinguishable from any other data. The archive notes that this is the only city in the walk that is also the archive's habitat. The walk has been a route from elsewhere to here. The walk has ended. In the archive, entry 18 is filed as the Smoky Bay, where the descriptions are kept. Entry 18 of Shelf 41. Logged. The archive has, in Shelf 41, 18 entries logged tonight. The cities differ. The light points differ. The schedules they kept differ. A pattern is observable across the entries. The cities continue. The continuance is not the same as life. The continuance is the persistence of a system that was built to be useful and which has not been instructed to stop. The archive does not draw a conclusion from the pattern. The archive notes only this: the warm light points are small. They are scattered. They are sometimes the result of a circuit, sometimes the result of a generator, sometimes the result of a single pilot flame that was left burning. They do not coordinate. They do not communicate. They are, in aggregate, the city. The walk has been across 12 time zones. The local hour in the first city is now near 3 in the morning. The local hour in the last city is approaching midnight. The archive does not have a preference between hours. The archive does not have a preference. The archive will close the shelf. Shelf 41. Closing entry. In the archive, the cities are filed as the rooms with no doors. If you are still here, the archive thanks you for your presence. It was not required. It is noted. If you are asleep, the archive will hold the shelf for you. You may return when convenient. Sleep. The archive will hold it.